Mr. Best, you mentioned in your speech about the animal standpoint. Do you believe that if we change the way, as humans, if we change the way we see and treat the animals, it will be a nice example for the end of the exploitation from human by human?
The animal standpoint is absolutely essential for understanding history, understanding social evolution, understanding the crisis of the planet today, right now. Marx spoke about the riddle of history, and how communism answers the riddle of history. Well, communism doesn't answer the riddle of history. No one standpoint answers the riddle of history. The riddle of history, to me, is how did this crisis evolve? How do we become a dominator society? We once were an egalitarian society. So we have to understand this transition and what happened to our social networks and our mindset that became hierarchical. Now, the animal standpoint is absolutely essential for understanding the causes and evolution of hierarchy and crisis, the social and ecological crisis we have today on the planet. It cannot be understood without the animal standpoint. We need many standpoints, but it's absolutely crucial. And so far, it's been largely neglected. So I don't think we have much of a chance, both theoretically to understand what's happening and politically to change it.
Do you think that the human, animal and earth liberations, which are linked in an holistic way, is first of all a matter of political issue?
Yeah, it's first of all a matter of understanding the commonalities of oppression, how different systems of power overlap. And you can't fight sexism or racism without fighting speciesism and contrary-wise. So total liberation tries to unite these standpoints. Now, actually, I'm somewhat pessimistic about the possibilities of total liberation because our mindset is tribal, and people have a very hard time working together. It's hard to have a relationship sometimes with one person, let alone to build an effective movement, let alone to unite many movements with different interests, although common interests if they were to see. It's very difficult to build such a politics. I know that there have been examples in history of people successfully doing this. The emergence of alliance politics in the U.S. in the 19th century is one example. The child's reform movement, the women's reform movement, the animal reform movement, the black abolitionist slave movement. People, they worked in and out of these movements together. They are often working together. So there is a possibility, and there are many other examples, but there is a possibility of forming alliance politics. And we absolutely must. But so far I just see tribalism. And as I said, we have integrated ecology with social justice. We've got to get animal liberation into that. That means that the animal liberation community needs to see that they can't be single issue. They have to confront their racism, sexism in their own movement. And that the left movement has to take the animal liberation movement seriously. It has to see veganism as key to the solution to the environmental crisis.
So the social movement will be the key in order to persuade all the poor people, all the lower classes of the world to adapt a new vision about ecology. Is the social movement the key?
The social movement is the key because that means we don't just make personal change in our lives. So this is against the idea, for instance, of lifestyle veganism, and all I can or should do is just become a vegan in my life. No, I'm sorry. You have to fight for social justice and fight for the environment. Not enough just to make the changes in your life. You have to become a part of a movement. You need to build a movement. We can't have people fragmented from one another, building their private utopias. We work together and we build bridges with one another toward common goals, liberation goals, and we respect one another's needs. But you see, moral progress comes through social movements. It doesn't just come through the visions of individuals. It has to be built into a social movement. That's how change happens.
And the last question, the social movement progress will come from the civil society or from the current political status?
The movements will come from within civil society, the liberation movements. I'm not so trustworthy of the state. I forget the state providing the solution. The NGOs have sometimes developed their own power dynamics. So I see the answer to lie in populist struggles and people's struggles, democracy from below, and maybe globalization from below, not imposed from above, but through the democratization of social movements. And we can't have democracy of social movement so long as we take the animal liberation, put it in the back seat of change. So the animal liberation movement has to be up in the front seat helping to drive this revolution, because the insights and the politics from the animal standpoint are too critical.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.